Coming up on 11 minutes after 7 o'clock here on 97.1 Wadsworth Community Radio. Of course, spring is just a day or two around the corner here. Be coming rolling in here, no pun intended, about 5:58 on Wednesday evening. And with that type of weather coming up here, we're going to be talking some road cycling awareness and about a safety workshop that's going to be at the Wadsworth Public Library on March the 26th from 7 to 9 p.m. And we have the host of that program in this morning with us, Mike Jensen. Good morning, Mike.
Good morning.
How you doing?
Good.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for joining us. When I saw that you were coming to the library, I thought it was important to have you on the show so that we could talk about your road cycling awareness and safety group, and also get into maybe a little bit of the deeper things about safely cycling with traffic, because that is something that's kind of top of mind for me. So how about if we start with your group and this upcoming workshop, how you got started and why, and what the goal of the safety group is?
Okay. Well, the group so far is just me, really. I got into cycling a few years ago and have just really gotten into it for health reasons, and have enjoyed it. And I have ridden a lot on the road, especially last year. And I just realized that, one, I think a lot of cyclists need some more information about safety, but also motorists. And there seemed to be a kind of a contention between motorists and cyclists. And I really felt it would be healthy to try to promote both awareness and a mutual respect of motorists and cyclists. Because there's definitely dangers involved with cycling on the road. But I think we can all minimize that.
When Tina and I were actually when we were chatting off air last week when about the program or whatever when you were coming up, and it's like it's one of those things where I understand a big metal car and someone on a bicycle, but it's more it's not the speed one way or another that's the problem. It's the difference in speed. You got a car going 50, and all of a sudden they're coming up on a cyclist going, 10, 15, or 20, or something like that. Or sometimes vice versa. Let's say even it can be the other direction. Let's say a cyclist could be going at a decent clip coming up over hill, and there might be a pedestrian there.
Right.
So it's both directions, and it's that difference in speed and awareness on the media that you're traveling on that people need to be made aware of. And I think your program can bring something to people that someone like you that's a cyclist. Let's just say you're really into it. Someone might be a little afraid that, I kind of hate that, I got a bike, I kind of ride around the neighborhood, but I really hate to venture out further because I'm not sure about the safety aspect of it.
Oh, definitely. And I think people should be cautious when they think about venturing out into the streets. And that's, I think, being informed about what are the different things to be aware of. And that's part of what this workshop at the library is going to be about, is talking about basic things like, wear a helmet. Helmets are really important. Be visible. Wear bright clothing. Even lights are required at night, but I use lights on my bike during the day. You won't see me without. I've got front lights, back lights, helmet light, and I even got the side-to-side amber blinking light.
Well, my light, I drive with my headlights on my car during the day.
Right.
They're always on. It's just not, I don't care if it's just, if it's one time, it's like, it just makes sense for you to have lights on.
Yeah. It's being visible. I always like to say, to see and be seen. Seeing what's ahead of you and around you. I wear a mirror because I like to see what's behind me. It really gives me a better feeling if I need to change lanes or something like that. There's a lot you can do, but it's really being super aware of your environment and, being aware that not everyone else is aware of the environment.
Right.
Too, riding defensively as well.
Are there some other most common things, I guess, that people don't know about safe biking and cycling, or conversely, what the public needs to know about cyclists in the street? Is there some common, beside, you mentioned being visible.
Yeah.
Is there are there any other things that people need to know about either the cyclists or those who are not cyclists, just driving in the street?
Oh, definitely. I mean, there's laws that govern bikes on the road, and one of them is that a bike is basically another vehicle, has the same, except for on the interstate
express, right?
Yeah, but bikes can be on the road. They should stay as far to the right as possible. But one thing that motorists don't always understand is sometimes the far right lane or being at the far right is not safe for a cyclist because of debris, potholes, and different things. So sometimes cyclists can't always go as far right as they can, and cyclists shouldn't get too close to like the ditch or something like that. So there's reasons why a cyclist might not go all the way to the right, and they might need to be in the middle of a lane.
Well, those road hazards could propel you right back into traffic. If you hit something, you might not go to you might not go to the right, you might go to the left, right back in front of a car.
Right. So there's a lot of dynamics of a bike being on the road. One of the laws that a lot of people don't realize, and it's not specific to bikes, but if you're on where the double yellow line is, any slow-moving or stopped vehicle, if you can safely pass it, you're allowed to cross over the double yellow line to pass it. And a lot of people don't know that, and they will trail behind you on a bike for miles when there's plenty of opportunities to pass. But that's any vehicle, just like you would pass or a post office.
Mailman.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, or anything. The laws actually allow you. You're not breaking the law as long as you have visibility and can do it safely.
You're right. I did not. I mean, I guess I did not. I was not aware of that. If there was a double yellow line, let's say that the bike wasn't, a cyclist wasn't all the way over to the right on the berm, and I mean, sometimes when they're on the berm, I mean, you're not really crossing the double yellow. You're just kind of going slowly around them, kind of a thing. But if they're not right on the berm, and I guess I did not realize that you couldn't go around them on a double yellow like that.
Yeah.
Obviously, visibility.
Yep.
Yeah, as long as you can see.
So interesting.
Officer Studer from the Wadsworth Police Department will be giving a presentation March 26th at the workshop that I'm doing. So he's going to go over the laws, and he's one of the police officers that rides a bike.
Right.
So he's got a really well-balanced perspective, I think, on cycling. So it will be good to hear. I was actually really excited to get him involved because I think he'll bridge a lot of the, between cyclists and motorists.
Well, he's on both sides of the law, so I don't mean it, but what I mean on both sides of the equation there, where he has to enforce it, but then by the same token, he's out there on a day-to-day basis riding recreationally, and he can see the issues that he needs to deal with when he's on the job with cyclists and motorists.
Right. Yep.
I think that's a good transition into if someone is wanting to take up cycling. We have a bike carrier for our two boys on the back of our bike, and we like to go around the neighborhood and on trails and such. But what do you say about someone who wants to start cycling, but maybe they do have that fear of being able to be out with traffic? How do you sort of make sure that you can overcome that cycling while being in traffic is okay? And if we can tie it into the interurban trail, because there are, parts of that you're right there with traffic.
Right. And I would say a good way is to ride with a group of people that are familiar with cycling. That's how I started. I started riding with a group, and you learn so much quicker. You especially if it's a smart group, that are, respectful and being safe and stuff like that. And actually, I'm going to be starting a 5-mile slow roll weekly ride here in Wadsworth, going through some of the residential areas and the interurban trail. So I'd say that'd be an excellent opportunity, because I plan to keep it slow, to keep it in the safer areas, where you're not having to go through heavy traffic areas and things like that.
This is 97.1 Wadsworth Community Radio. We're speaking this morning with Mike Jansen, a bicycle awareness and safety program that he'll be presenting at the Wadsworth Public Library. Mike, we were chatting a little bit off air that there is a, and again, I know you'll talk about it, this is your program as well, but there's a bike map that has been developed, and this could help people that are just trying to get into cycling, like how can I get from here to there, but I really don't want to go out on, I'm not experienced enough maybe to be out like on College Street or Broad Street or something in traffic, but can I get from here to there? And this map tells you a lot about some of those roads and the issues or non-issues that you might have with them, right?
Right, yeah. It was, they redid the Medina County one last year. They've run out of those, but they're reprinting them, and I'm actually going to be distributing them, one of the distributors around here. So that's coming up, I think, in like April.
Okay, yeah, later this, yeah. Mm-hmm.
But it's basically a map of the streets, and then they're ranked according to, is this a beginner road? Is this an intermediate, advanced, expert, or stay off this road? Mm-hmm. And it's really more... It's the map is the opinions of cyclists who came together. So it's a good general guideline to, hey, what streets might be easier to ride on and have less, fewer hazards.
With hills and things like that, right?
It doesn't really.
Does it get into the topography?
Not really.
Okay.
More, I think, traffic is what it's, I think, centered on, like more safety. If the idea of if you're not comfortable with cars passing you, you probably want to stick to
this neighborhood route. Okay.
Yeah.
Let's see. All right. Very good.
Well, that sounds super helpful for someone like me because I don't love being out on a main road, I should say, on my bike. It just makes me a little bit nervous. But maybe one of the things if you could touch on is, and I don't know why I didn't think about this, but like I said, when I have a bike carrier on the back of my bike, should kids in that carrier be wearing a helmet also?
Oh, I would think so. I'm not an expert, so that's just my opinion. My opinion is be as safe as you can on a bike. It's easy if you take a spill. It's definitely easy to hit your head. I think kids, they bounce better than us, but I think a helmet on their heads would be really smart. Yeah,
I just didn't think about it. My neighborhood friend has a carrier too and had her kids in helmets when we were going to our parade last summer, and I thought, gosh, I just didn't think about that. I think I assume that my carrier is safe, but it's not made of steel. You know what I mean? So yeah, I think you're absolutely right. I think safety is probably the top thing with anyone on a bicycle, carrier or the bicycle driver, if you will. What else are we missing that you would like to talk about, either about what you do for raising awareness on cycling and safety in the community, or your March 26th event at the Wadsworth Public Library?
Well, we hit a lot of topics here already. I guess mainly what I'm trying to do is, there's a lot of people who have bikes, and I think there's a lot of people who would like to get out on their bikes, and they've got legitimate concerns for safety, or they've got issues with their bike not working. I'm going to be having some bike repair shops at the library, in fact, over the course of the summer, where you can actually bring your bike in and it will be hands-on. So that will be coming up. We're in the middle of planning that right now with the library. I have some tentative dates, but we've got to solidify those. But so that's kind of the goal, is to get people out there, but to get people out there safely, and also to work together with the whole community. That's why I've gotten the police department involved. That's why I'm working at the library.
That's why you're here.
Exactly. motorists and cyclists together, like working together as opposed to just being frustrated with each other.
Well, and, the other thing that, we had chatted about that's not a plug for AAA, but if you have a AAA membership, they have a bicycle program. If you're broken down, you can call them and they'll pick you up on your bike and take you back to your car or wherever. Now, no, if you're mountain biking, they're not sending a helicopter, and then the Coast Guard's not coming to get you. But if you're out on the road here or something in town or whatever, and you're 2 miles away and you've got your little one on the back and something happens, you can call them. So it's nice to see, I guess, that there are a lot of other organizations and groups and individuals such as yourself, AAA and cities like Wadsworth area that are becoming more aware of cyclists, the need for transportation like that, and all just trying to rethink the way infrastructure and streets are done to make it safer for both.
Yes, and there are actually a lot of organizations. There's Bike Medina County right here in Medina County. A lot of their focus has been in Medina, but they actually represent the entire county. And there's Northeast Ohio, even the Department of Transportation. You'd be amazed at how much momentum there is for cycling, for casual cycling, for commuter cycling. It's really a lot more to it than I realized until I got into it.
Well, there was a person that I had known a couple of years ago. They had moved over from... they were in Germany, grew up over there and came over here and lived in, they moved in Cleveland. They were up there and, riding the bike to work and that kind of a thing. And they were frustrated with just not being able to get around as well with the bike, because in Europe, that was probably, at least in the area where he was from, 50% of the transportation. And a lot of it over there had to do with, and again, it was a difference in need and culture. Their infrastructure over there originally was more for cycling than it was automobiles, and where our infrastructure was built the other way.
Right.
We kind of started out with the cars and that type of thing, and so but yeah, he was kind of running into that too, where over there it was much different. He came over here and it was like, wait a minute, I can't do this and I can't do that, or I can, but it's not quite set up as safely and recognized as for society or whatever here than it was there in the smaller town he was in Germany.
Yeah, and that is the case. I mean, most of our infrastructure isn't necessarily ideal for cyclists and motorists to coexist. So, which is why it's important that that there's education and awareness, and that's kind of part of what I hope to add to that.
We had a cyclist on. There was a group here he was from Wadsworth, and it was a cancer fundraiser or whatever. And what they did was they started in the Atlantic Ocean with their rear wheel, drove all the way across the country, and put their front wheel in the Pacific Ocean,
yep.
and helped along the way with cancer patients and things along the way. But what was interesting was that there were 3 or 4 routes to get across country, but there was no direct route from here to there. I mean, they ended up going now part of it was areas of people that they wanted to help, but other parts was they had to go. It's like, don't you have you don't have a map? Look where you're going. He goes, well, that's how to cycle safely in a group. We have to go way up there and down and around to get across country, not even just because of mountains and geographical features, but because of roads and highways, the way to get there safely.
Yeah. Definitely, and there are I guess another thought is there are non-road options to ride your bike. There's quite a few miles of bike path, whether it's in Medina County, Summit County, up near Cleveland. There's a 40-mile bike and hike loop. In Akron,
it's off-road, off auto traffic road for the most part, right?
There's a short section that's on the roads. Most of them, and more people are trying to build paths that have where you can go just,
like our interurban trail.
Right, exactly. Yep.
Where part of it's on the road, but then once you get out by the trail house, that area out there is off-road.
Yeah, definitely. Mm-hmm. So there are a lot of options. They just require you to drive to it
right.
first. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Well, Mike, thank you so much for joining us this morning. It's been fun learning more about bicycle awareness and safety. And for anyone else who is interested, the bicycling, or the road cycling, I should say, awareness and safety workshop will be March 26th, 7 to 9 p.m. at the Wadsworth Public Library.
Mike Jansen, thank you very much. Appreciate you coming in this morning.
Thanks.
It's 30 minutes after 7 o'clock here on 97.1 Wadsworth Community Radio.